Krishna Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur class. May I know who all have joined the call this morning? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is me. Dandvat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Thank you, Mataji. Niti, right? Thank you, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji, for joining regularly. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Komati ki Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas. Nice to see you, Mataji. Hari Bol.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, I'm forgetting the name. Vinita Gandharvika, how I can forget? It's not good. Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving your association and nice guidance. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kamadiki Mataji. Very happy to see you as always. This is Preeti Devdasi from California. Hare Krishna Mataji, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Oh, you're back. Good. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Preeti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, and all the devotees. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Giving me give me a nice opportunity, but I don't know how to use it. So please forgive me for that.
Mataji, come on. With your presence, everything is auspicious on the call. Just your presence.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. I mean, that's it to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, HG Mataji, Dandvat Pranam to you and all Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji. Very, very wonderful, nice devotee. Very exalted devotee. That's keeping hiding. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to you. And thank you very much for joining Mataji regularly every day. Morning, evening, noontime, whenever. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I'm glad that I have one friend like you. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga and all assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, your service, and your chanting, and your association. Thank you, Mataji. Very, very wonderful devotee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kamadiki Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Preeti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji. Every day I hear you, but then sometimes I hear you later. Otherwise, you are the first one to greet in the morning. Hare Krishna. Please accept me.
I won.
Thank you, Mataji, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare
And accept my
Krishna.
obeisances. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandvat Pranam Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kamadaki Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai, and all the assembled devotees. This is Shivani from Nashville, Virginia. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji. I don't know if you came to Rath Yatra or not, but anyway, thank you for sponsoring. Please accept
No,
my
Mataji.
obeisances. Huh?
No, Mataji, I did not come for the Baltimore.
Okay.
It was not well.
I was trying to see, but I couldn't. Maybe I didn't see you. That's why I was asking you. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji, for please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj and all the devotees. And thank you very much for the sending the donation for Jagannath Rath Yatra. Hare Krishna. I hope you do every year. This is first, I think, every Memorial Day weekend, Saturday. Rath Yatra.
Mataji, please give me your blessings so I can do it every year. There's a Rath Yatra in New York this weekend.
Yeah. Yes, this weekend, yes. In the New York.
Please give me your blessings that I can go.
Oh, yeah. All the blessings for everyone who would like to go to Jagannath Rath Yatra.
Thank
But
you.
unfortunately, I cannot go. I cannot ride in a car for that many times. I mean, car or bus. It's very difficult for me to ride. Anyway, it's a Lord's mercy that devotees like you are very, very enthusiastic to go and serve Lord Jagannath and
Thank
have
you,
his
Mataji.
darshan. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Now I said Prabhupada's quote, right? Okay. I would like to read today's Prabhupada's quote. It's very nice and enlightening. It's June 7. Any nonsense you do, and if you say it is the latest fashion, everyone will do. And it was in Honolulu, June 17, 1975. Prabhupada wrote this. Okay. Hare Krishna. I don't know if Prabhuji is here yet or not yet. I don't think Prabhuji is here yet. Oh, Ramgiridhari Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa Conference. So today's class will be given by His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhuji on the topic of Sri Caitanya Bhagavata. And the topic is chapter 8 and verses 109 through 130. Welcome. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All wishes to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj and all the devotees. And thank you very much for giving us your very valuable time and association this morning. Please accept the call now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for engaging me in this service. It is always a pleasure to be in the assembly of Vaishnavas to discuss Krishna Katha. So we'll start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. So we are reading from Caitanya Bhagavata Adi Khanda, chapter 8, text number 109 through 113. He namate kata dhinam thaki mishra Antardhana Haila Nitya Shuddha Kalevaram. After passing some days like this, Jagannath Mishra, whose body is eternally pure, departed from this world. Nishrera Vijaye Prabhu Kandila Vistaram Dhasharata Vijaye Ehena Raghuvaram. After his departure, the Lord cried profusely, just as Ramachandra cried after the departure of Maharaj Dasaratha. Durnivar Shri Gaura Chandrera Akarshanam Atayeva Rakshahaila Aira Jivanam. Mother Sachi survived simply due to her irresistible attraction for Sri Gaura Chandra. Text 112. दुख बड़ा ए शकल विस्तार करीते दुख हय अतएव कहilun sankshepe. Elaborating on these topics is too painful. Therefore, I have given only a brief description. Enamate jananira sange gaurahari achena niguda rupe apana samvari. In this way, Sri Gaurahari and his mother controlled their grief as they lived together in seclusion. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshurun Militam Yenam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padayam Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedantam Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, the context that we are in is when Jagannath Mishra had a dream about his dear son Nimai's sannyas. As you would have heard earlier, Jagannath Mishra was disturbed after Vishwarupa's taking sannyas. In fact, he has gone ahead and stopped Nimai from studying Vedic literature, going to school. And eventually, Nimai had to throw some tantrums. He had spoken all sorts of logical reasoning and eventually once again convinced both Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Mata to send him to the school. And Sachi Mata did not even have a clue of what is going to come later, but she very convincingly told Jagannath Mishra that where is Vishwarupa and where is Nimai? Vishwarupa, from the time of his birth, he was recluse. He was not participating in any of the worldly affairs and conversations. But look at Nimai. He's so naughty. Where do you see him? Anywhere closer to taking sannyas? He behaves like a naughty child and do throw all sorts of tantrums, doesn't follow the spiritual routine, going and debating with people, fights and arguments, and there is no sign of sannyas, so don't even worry about it. And she convinced him and eventually sent Nimai to the school. Then when Jagannath Mishra got this dream, as they say that the Lord communicates through different channel. For some people, the Lord communicates through challenges given to one. For some people, the Lord communicates through the words of self-realized soul. For some people, the Lord communicates in the form of sequence of episodes. For some people, the Lord communicates through dream. For some people, the Lord communicates by sometimes appearing in front of them and speaking. And these communications, only those who are intelligent, vigilant, and resonate in spiritual consciousness can easily catch. As much as we resonate towards spiritual consciousness, that much a person can identify, recognize such communication from the Lord. And some Baddha Jivas like me and those 5th class men, 10th class men, Papi Tapi category, even after repeatedly told, even after explaining all logical, emotional, spiritual, philosophical, sentimental, scientific, all reasoning being given, we still may have reasons to say, I am sorry, I'm busy. So we will never catch the communication of the Lord. Rather, after the damage, we will go backwards and recognize, yes, now I could recollect. So, in case of Jagannath Mishra, as the very first verse says of today's discussion, that Jagannath Mishra is not an ordinary person. He is not different than Vasudeva. And how can a personality of that stature not resonate, not recognize? So as soon as this dream, which had got several details, Jagannath Mishra, whilst he kind of enjoyed and spoken about it and discussed with his wife, internally he was developing a feeling of separation. What is going to come in the future, he already anticipated about it. And he already thought that I would not be able to cope up with this. So he kind of decided and eventually left this planet. When Akrura came to take Krishna to Mathura, it is explained just by hearing the news of Krishna's departure, several gopis left their body. Several gopis started to cry and weep. And so many scenes in the last class we discussed. How Mother Yashoda would not let Krishna go. Every time when Krishna used to get ready to leave, Mother Yashoda would stop. She would say that my son had always been naughty, but in spite of that, I have never beaten him. Not even a small dhruva grass would have touched him. I hope Devaki and Vasudeva won't punish him for his naughtiness. Suddenly she developed, oh my God, all through the years I have fed butter, clarified butter, taza, very, freshly churned butter. In the city, how Krishna would get them. We spoke about this in the last class. So already there are this feeling of separation from the Lord, or the Lord feeling of separation from his devotees. It's a very special, confidential, deep subject matter which are generally not discussed publicly. Because the emotions and the relationship between the Lord and his devotees is so unique that a person with poor fund of knowledge will only misunderstand and will never be able to correlate anywhere closer to reality. So that is why Vrindavan Das Thakura says, this topic is painful, and hence I just want to state it and move on. The technical reason is, yes, it is painful to talk about feeling of separation, either the Lord towards his devotees or devotees to the Lord, but it also has got an internal meaning that it is equally confidential, and we can't imitate, we can't comprehend, we can't properly discuss that subject matter unless and otherwise we resonate, we are situated in that platform. So the 4 or 5 verses that we just read today, I'm going to churn them with some sets of reflections. The first reflection is about the aspect of feeling of separation. The Siddhanta of feeling of separation is itself a very, very deep subject matter. I will tell you a few perspectives of that. Whenever we talk about separation in this material world, separation, departure, death, these are all topics of mourning, where the person who mourns for some time and eventually forgets, or mourn for external materialistic things, are only associated with gross subject matter, that this material separation actually gives one pain. But in case of Krishna consciousness, the feeling of separation, even though the external exhibition of the emotion may be crying and weeping, it is equally transcendental, it is equally glorious, and hearing them is equally pleasing and purifying. For sure, I would not say that's a happy moment, but as we always say, the labor pain is actually a happy mixed painful moment. When the baby is coming out, when the woman is in labor, the emotion that the lady go through is exactly the emotion of the feeling of separation in Krishna consciousness. Completely transcendental. The second aspect about feeling of separation is that the more you feel about separation, the more you are in union. The more you are in union, the fear of separation daunts you. I'll give you 2 episodes. One from Brihad Bhagavata Amrita, part 1, very, very fag end. When after all the drama, melodrama, everything got over, when Narada Muni and Krishna, they are honoring prasadam, or maybe the scene before that, or in that last part of that Brihad Bhagavata Amrita. Krishna is telling to Narada Muni that, my dear friend, all those people whom you met, each of them are capable of delivering the entire universe. Brahmanda tarite shakti tare jane jane ye veda purane gunagaye jeva sune. Brahmanda tarite shakti tare jane jane. Krishna was telling Narada Muni, each and every one of them, right from the Brahmana, from the Dasashwamedha, the god, to the king of southern India, to Indra, all the way, everyone is capable of delivering the entire universe. Each of them exhibited a very unique quality of respect and humility. Please note, my dear Narada, I definitely knew the gopis in Vrindavan are missing me. And I can definitely go there. As soon as I go there, they would definitely feel elated, jubilous, very, very, excited, joyful. But please note, the moment they will meet me, along with that joy, they will get severe pain and severe fear that I might leave again. Rather than giving them that pain, because that pain would literally collapse them, I would rather not go and make them continuously remember about me, in which they are in 100% union with me, and also they are hopeful that one day I will come. Another episode is when Krishna visiting Rukmani Devi's house. Rukmani welcomed Krishna, did Shodacha Upachar, and finally, when Krishna was settled, Rukmani started crying. The same thing that Krishna spoke to Narada Muni earlier. And when Krishna asked, why are you crying? She said that now that you are with me, but you are known to leave your devotees in the middle and make them long for you. And that separation I cannot tolerate. So the second aspect of this feeling of separation is such that the more a person is in separation, he is in union, and especially those who are in union always have a fear of separation. The third aspect of the Siddhanta of separation, the feeling of separation, because the context here is Jagannath Mishra has left the world and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is crying. So much profusely. And the example is given as Lord Ramachandra cried during Dasharatha's departure. So the third aspect of feeling of separation is that when a person exhibits his feelings, he actually reveals his love. He actually reveals his intensity. He actually reveals the position of the other person. He actually declares the whole world. He enables and wants the whole world how one should look up to such a personality for whom the Lord or the devotee is crying. So the feeling of separation is actually a reason for us to get educated, to know what is the loving relationship between the Lord and his devotees, and how much the devotees mean to the Lord. One time Krishna and Arjuna, they were discussing. This is referred from Padma Puran. Krishna was telling Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, this whole world is existing. The sun is rising, the moon is there, the nature is there. It is all because of my devotees. What is because of all of them? Even I exist today. It's because of my devotees. So the feeling of separation also educates about the loving relationship and the position of the Lord and his dear devotees. So those who are spiritually advanced will be able to deal with the subject matter properly. And those who are materially motivated will not understand the subject matter at all and may eventually commit a grave offense if they happen to imitate. So my first reflection here is that in our Krishna consciousness journey, we are definitely encouraged and we are supposed to inherit this mood of feeling of separation and look forward for these juices, look forward for these emotions, not behave like a materialist who loses his materialistic things. Because in this feeling of separation, there is no loss. In the literal sense, there may be a loss, but there is no actual loss because it's only a gain. So as devotees, when we have loving exchanges with each other, we have our loving relationship with our spiritual master. We have our special relationship with the Supreme Lord. We have a special relationship with our Archa Vigraha, deities. We have special attachment towards our Siksha and Diksha gurus. We have special attachment towards Dham. We'll have special attachment towards our devotional service. We will have special attachment towards a holy name. We will have special attachment towards Krishna Prasada, Krishna Katha. All these things, the moment we feel separated from them, in the truest sense, it gives us enormous amount of pain, which actually induces us to go in union again. And in the union, we feel enormous amount of joy. And when we are enjoying, we are seeing the object of love, the personality of love is missing. So we are feeling enormous amount of pain, joy, pain, joy, pain, joy, pain. But the net outcome is Kevala Ananda Khanda. So in our exchanges, we should not imitate. We should not criticize. And we should not be insensitive. Because if we imitate of the feeling of separation, we will flip and flop and fall down. If we criticize, we will commit a grave offense. And if we don't understand, we somehow or other if you mistake them, misunderstand them, then we will definitely make a great mistake. So my first reflection hence is, let's try to be sensitive and understand this feeling of separation. The second reflection is about few examples of this feeling of separation and which defines the height of love as well as the depth of devotion. I'll give you a few examples. Of course, here the context is, the example comparison is, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cried as Lord Rama cried for Dasaratha. We'll give 3 examples to substantiate this mood. The first example is from Ramayana, but not from the context of Dasaratha's death, because it is obvious and the Lord and devotees are very closely attached to each other. Dasaratha and Rama are very specially attached to each other. So we may even be able to comprehend. But Valmiki is describing one other situation wherein he is listing several people's behavior as a matter of feeling of separation from the Lord. I just want to speak about that because it increases the mellow mood of the feeling of separation. When this is a scene when Lord Rama was banished to the forest. When Dasaratha had to tell Ramachandra that he had to go to the forest for 14 long years, Dasaratha was very sad and completely deeply shocked and upset. But Lord Ram was very happy to execute the orders of Dasaratha, so he was immediately ready. While Lord Rama was happy to go, look at who are all feeling separation. It is explained that the mother of the house or the leading lady of the house would deny to cook. A family of 12, 15 people, the lady, if she doesn't cook, everybody will starve. She would deny to cook. In a house, a newborn child was there. First son, newborn son. That mother would deny feeding the son, saying, the Lord is going to the forest. You need milk? That's a kind of response. The birds which were looking for collecting grains and food, when they heard about Lord Rama's departure to the forest, Valmiki Rishi explains that these birds stand still as if the birds were painted on a canvas. They were shell-shocked. A similar expression is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains this to Sanatana Goswami about birds and their expression in Madhya Leela, the fag ending, Sanatana Siksha, Rupa Sanatana Siksha. So the birds are frozen. They are in freeze state. elephants, the person who looks after elephant, they used to give mounds of grain and rice to the elephant would deny eating. But if the guy used to insist, the elephant used to collect them and throw them on the floor and try to destroy. The cows used to deny giving milk to the calf. Valmiki Rishi, after explaining all these things, he's saying that all these things were for Lord Rama. He didn't use the word Lord Rama. He said, Sarva Bhutanu Kampinam. The personality who is beloved to all the living entities. So the loving relationship between the Lord and the devotees are so intense. Even birds and bees would feel separation. Parama Karuna Bahudui Jana Nitahi Gaura Chandra. In that, Lochana Das Thakur is singing, Dekho re bhai Tribhuvane nai He mono doyal data Pashu paki jure Pashana vidare Sunijar gunagata. Says, my dear brother, just try and examine this. Within the 3 words, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda. Their merciful qualities are so great that upon hearing them, even the birds and beasts cry and stones melt. Samsare Majia Rohili Poriya Sepade Nahilo Asha Apana Karamam Munjaye Samana Kaho Lochana Dasa. But Lochana Dasa regrets that I am entrapped by sense gratification. Since I have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, then Yamaraja, the superintendent of death, is punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted by this movement. So the mood is very nicely expressed. Sarva Bhutanu Kampinam, I was sitting there. Here is also Lochandasa, birds and beasts cry. Valmiki Rishi is saying, out of all these things, these are all, very eccentric, special moments. When the Lord departed, one adharmic activity also happened. He explains, Agnihotris are those type of Brahmanas who performs in Sandhya Kala. Special every day they used to perform, and it's a very specific, unique, important duty of a Brahmana, which is never to be stopped. Once started, a Brahmana should never stop them. So, Valmiki is saying, the Brahmanas who never stopped performing Agnihotra, they have even denied, they have even stopped feeling in separation for Lord Ram. So, that is one example. Second example was when Srinivasa Acharya, when he heard about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wanted to learn and associate with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came down to Jagannath Puri to finally realize that Mahaprabhu had left this world. I'm not going to get into the details of Srinivasa Acharya's story, but it is explained that when he went to Gadadhara Pandit to learn Srimad Bhagavatam, Gadadhara Pandit asked for forgiveness, saying that due to the feeling of separation from the Lord, I cried and cried and cried. The entire manuscript of Srimad Bhagavatam got erased. The third example is about gopis in Vrindavan. Who else but for gopis who are a crying example, or example for crying. His Holiness Satsarup Maharaj writes in his Japa Reform Diary. He mentions that each and every one of us practitioners of Krishna consciousness movement should learn to cry in the feeling of separation as a child would cry for the mother. And that's the mood in which we are supposed to chant the holy name of the Lord. Our own Vrindavan Das Thakura writes in Caitanya Bhagavata, says Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga Dana, Bhakti Ye Krishna Nama Smarana Krandana. So my second reflection, I want to summon substance and summarize, saying that if we are told that we are a happy and a transcendental movement, it is true a statement, but the happiness and transcendental emotions are expressed mainly through crying. Our dearest Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to always say, get enrolled in the crying school. Unless you learn to cry in feeling of separation from the Supreme Lord, unless you learn to cry in feeling of separation from your Gurudev, unless you learn to cry in feeling of separation from your Seva, Nama, Dhama, Vigraha, Prachar, we will be still scratching only the surface of devotional life. Because the feeling of crying will bring out the real devotion within ourselves and will crush the ego within ourselves. So our Kevala Ananda Khanda could as well be expressed in the form of profusely crying. When explaining about Jatayu's departure, it is explained in Srimad Ramayana that Lord Ramachandra literally held Jatayu on his lap and started crying and eventually gave him a promise that you are my family, I will perform Shraddha ceremony to you. So I want to conclude my second reflection by saying that we need to learn to cry for Krishna, and the feeling of separation and that attachment towards Krishna has to be exhibited in the form of our feeling of separation. The third reflection is about the nature of the confidentiality part, the reason why they are dealt confidentially. It's a very easy one, but an important one that I want to state it. That Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Vrindavan Das Thakura is explaining that it brings an enormous amount of grief. But I understand, and my reflection is, for sure it is a grief, as well as it is a pleasure, as I explained in the introduction. But it is also very, very special and untouched by materialistic sentiments. Such behaviors have been exhibited by our predecessor acharyas. Sukadeva Goswami Pad carefully evaded speaking about Srimati Radharani so that, number one, those who are unqualified may have no chance for blabbering and offending by misstating, misquoting. But the main reason is, had he spoken about Srimati Radharani, he would have not been able to continue his service of presenting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is for the deliverance of humanity at large, as well as for Parikshit Maharaj. And number three is the subject matter of Srimati Radharani. For anyone to learn them, hear them, they need some prior qualification. Srila Prabhupada, in his Manifesto Gila, we have several times heard from Srila Prabhupada's disciples that several times Srila Prabhupada used to check, control his emotions. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, one of the purports in Nectar of Instruction. He writes saying that Uttamadhikari comes down to the level of Madhyamadhikari, in which he differentiates between sincere, innocent, ignorant, and as well as notorious ones, and accordingly he tries to present Krishna consciousness. But those who are Uttamadhikaris, those who are resonating in the very transcendental consciousness, they don't discriminate, they always feel separation from the Lord and learn to connect everything with the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada, several times, he had to go back to his Uttamadhikari platform because some emotions were very intense for him. So sometimes he exhibited very few moments though, but he did exhibit. Most of the time he controlled them for our sake. So these subject matters are not generally discussed in a regular class or to a regular audience. There are several more descriptions in other Acharya, Vaishnava Acharya literatures where these intense moments between the Lord and his devotees are very elaborately described. At certain places it is purposely avoided. So in our own practices of Krishna consciousness, let us learn to present this to the right audience, discuss this in the right forum for a right reason. The reason Srila Prabhupada asked us not to dive deep into Gita Govinda of Jayadeva Goswami, even though Jayadeva Goswami is a very bona fide Acharya, he says that we will definitely be not able to comprehend at an initial stage. So if we misconstrued, if we misunderstand, if we try to anyway connect it to a materialistic love, that will be a very grave mistake. So hence, let's also maintain the confidentiality and discreetness when dealing with the subject matter of love and separation. They are definitely to be done, so should not be avoided, but choose your forum, choose your Sangha, whom to speak in what depth. Because there are topics which are now with the technology available, with the media available, so many deeper topics are being discussed by our wonderful devotees, Vaishnavas, but some of them are very confidential and very deeper, that they need to be dealt very carefully. My last point, the last reflection is about the nature of a Vaishnava vis-a-vis the body of the Vaishnava, vis-a-vis the body of the Supreme Lord, as explained by Vrindavan Das Thakura. Says that when Jagannath Mishra left this world, the purport, if you read in Caitanya Bhagavata, it is explained that actually there is no difference only. The disappearance, departure of the Supreme Lord, the disappearance and departure of the Lord's dear devotees, they are identical and they are both transcendental. In Nectar of Instruction, it is very nicely explained, Shloka number 5 and 6. Hence, one should learn to see a Vaishnava in the right perspective. As Srila Prabhupada always say, one should learn to see a Vaishnava through one's ears. Because if one see a Vaishnava, if he does not know the background, if he does not know the position of the Vaishnava, he may not even recognize or he may land up in offending. So the body of a Vaishnava, the appearance of a Vaishnava, the actions of a Vaishnava, the decisions of a Vaishnava, they are so special, so unique, so transcendental that they are separately dealt with, unlike all the worldly people. Recently, I heard an update from Jayapataka Maharaj. He recently had an eye surgery. And on the same day of eye surgery, there was a tweet saying that I'm in pain. The procedure went well. Jayapataka Maharaj's tweet, I don't know. He must have stated his servants right. So the servants updated the tweet on his behalf. Wherein Jayapataka Maharaj is saying, I will still try to give today's class. I mean, this is not just a showing off attitude of a Kanishta. And hence it is not supposed to be imitated. This tells about the intensity of a Vaishnava in his Krishna consciousness practices. 365 days, 24/7. The Vaishnava is constantly thinking about the Supreme Lord, and hence his body, his name, his form, the things that he used, everything is Chaitanya, everything is Chaitanya, everything is spirit, nothing is matter. That is why they are still worshipped. What to speak of the Vaishnava's body? The things that are used by a Vaishnava are also worshipped. So in that way, Jagannath Mishra's leaving may not be material or material loss, but it was a spiritual vacuum. And the Lord expressed this separation by profusely crying. I will sing one small abhang of Tukaram Maharaj and just relate to this particular mood that is spoken about here. Anika dusare majanam himata ne melya chitam pasuniya panduranga dhyani pandurangamani jagrutim swapnim Panduranga Patilim Valana Indriyam Sakalam Avato Nirala Nahim Tugam Ukamane Netri Eleola Dhanam Tatastate Dhyana Vitevari Tukaram Maharaj is saying that in my consciousness, I'm always thinking of Lord Vittala, Panduranga. He's never going to leave my consciousness. I have already made up my mind that I'm never going to give him up. In my state of being awake, in my dream, I'm going to constantly remember about him. He's saying that I will, every moment of my life, Patilem Balana Indriyam Sakala Bhavato Nirala Nahim Tuza. I will make sure all my senses will constantly be, chanting the holy name of the Lord. And I want to make this as my practice. The reason I was remembering this past time, this song was for the past 4 or 5 days, almost 20 times I would have remembered this song. That a Vaishnava, a self-realized soul, is constantly resonating with Krishna consciousness feelings. That even the Lord feel separated from him. So he calls him back, or he cries for his separation. And he also teaches the whole world how one should deal with such a person. Saksha Dharidvena Samasta Sastraya. We should worship such a Vaishnava with utmost reverence. As well, celebrate his disappearance. So that is why in our ISKCON tradition, we have disappearance days celebrated. So I would like to stop here, but just before stopping, I want to summarize the learnings that we had from this session. We explained that how the feeling of separation, the mood of separation from the Supreme Lord, or the separation from the Lord's devotees, they are very intense. So they are definitely teaching us that it is unlike materialistic world. It has got pain imbued with pleasure and pleasure imbued with pain, as labor, a lady would experience in labor. Such a feeling of separation brings in union with the Lord, and in union, the feeling of separation. So both have their own complementing effect. And this feeling of separation is also going to induce, is going to reveal the loving relationship between the Lord and his dear devotees. Hence, we should not imitate, we should not criticize, and we should not be insensitive when a Vaishnava is exhibiting such a feeling of separation. And we also discussed about the crying movement, how this Krishna consciousness movement is a crying school where we should learn to feel separated from Krishna, and hence we long yearn to be in always the Lord's association. So by we exhibiting our symptoms of feeling of separation, we are at least telling ourselves, reinstating, giving importance to our Krishna consciousness practices. The third reflection we spoke about is about the confidentiality, the nature of such topics, and how Acharyas dealt these topics in the pages of Vedic literatures. They are not very openly dealt. They are dealt with utmost discreetness to give weightage to this topic. At the same time, let people not misunderstand these topics. And last but not least, a Vaishnava is always special, unique, and he has the same power and privilege as that of the Supreme Lord. Hence, the Lord feels separation from the Supreme, his devotees. The devotees feel separation from the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. Grantra Shri Shri Caitanya Bhagavata Adi Khanda. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Any questions or comments or reflections?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very nicely and nice direction, guidance also. You gave us so many nice. It's very wonderful. Thank you, Prabhuji. We are very grateful to you. And let's see, maybe somebody has a question. If anybody has any question, please raise your hand. Or you can go ahead and ask the question if you want. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. You have explained very nicely, so looks like nobody has any question. No one is raising. It's very nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
so no questions.
As you explaining, and it's very nice when you chant and also recite the 6 Shastaka prayers. It helps very much for chanting, to focus on the chanting. That is my experience.
Probably we can stop if there are no questions.
Prabhuji,
Would you like to sing a song? One person. I think you already did.
Radha Rani ki jai ho, jai jai Shri Radha Shyam.
I knew.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I also would like to hear the song Bhajan. It was very nice, whatever you recite the Bhajan. Please.
Yeah, I'll sing one.
Gopika Mataji is hiding again.
I am here, Mataji. Hearing Bhajan, then after explain the summary in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Jai Gaura Madhur Sware. Jai Gaura Madhur Sware. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Gaura Madhur Sware. Jai Gaura Madhur Sware. Grihe tako vane dako, sada hari bole dako. Grihe tako vane dako, sada hari bole dako. Suke duke bhulo nako, badane hari naam koro re. Suke duke bhulo nako, badane hari naam koro re. Jai Gaura Madhur Sware. Jai Gaura Madhur Sware. Maya jale baat hoye, आचो मीचे काजल होए. माया जाले बात होए, आचो मीचे काजल होए. एको नाचे तान पे, राधा माधव नाम बोलो रे. एको नाचे तान पे, राधा माधव नाम बोलो रे. गाय गौरा मधुर स्वरे. गाय गौरा मधुर स्वरे. जीवन होइलो शेषा, ना बाजिले ऋषिकेशा. जीवना होइलो शेषा ना बाजिले ऋषिकेशा भक्ति विनोदोपदेशा एक बार नाम रसे मतोरे भक्ति विनोदोपदेशा एक बार नाम रसे मतोरे गाय गौरा मधुर स्वरे गाय गौरा का मधुर स्वरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे गाय गौरा मधुर स्वरे Lord Gauranga, Gaura Sundara sings in a very sweet voice. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Whether you are a householder or a sannyasi, constantly chant Hari Hari. Do not forget this chanting. Whether you are in happy condition or a distressful one, just fill your lips with the Hari Nama. You are bound up in the network of Maya and are forced to toil fruitlessly. Now you have obtained full consciousness in the human form of life. So chant the names of Radha Madhava. Your life may end at any moment and you have not served the Lord of the senses, Rishikesa. Take this advice of Bhaktivinoda Thakura. Just once, relish the nectar of the holy name. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Prabhuji, Shivani Mataji has a question. She has raised a hand. Shivani Mataji, go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dana Pranam. Thank you for a very, very nectarian class as always. I just wanted to, I was going to ask you to sing a bhajan, but you did. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dana Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you. I loved the class and I loved the abhang and the bhajan. So Prabhuji, why do we not get feelings of love for Krishna, feelings of separation from Krishna?
Very nice. Thank you so much for your kind words, dear. One of the very important reasons why a person doesn't get feeling for separation from Krishna is feeling attached towards something else. Once we are attached towards a materialistic sense object and thinking that as the source of pleasure, unfortunately, we tend to forget, recognize, and understand the importance of the Supreme Lord in our life. A very famous example, not exactly in the sense of pure devotion, but when Indra was cursed to become a hog, he totally forgot that he was Indra whilst he was enjoying along with his family of hogs. When Brahma called him to come back, he was in such a forgetful condition that he denied in the first place to go back with Brahma, saying that I'm very happy, enjoying with my family and children, so why do you bother me? So that is the state of our consciousness. When we start to accept illusion as reality, and naturally the impact of them is we will agree reality as illusion. So the step forward is Ajnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya. We need to mitigate the illusion within us, and the process is very straightforward. Once we are illuminated with knowledge, we need to apply that knowledge in our life, and with the application of knowledge, we will have experience from that application. With that experience, we increase the intensity of our devotion, and when our devotion intensifies, we will realize how much we are missing the Lord, and we will start searching Krishna everywhere. So the first step is to disconnect ourselves from the material sense object. It is possible only when we hear the bona fide spiritual knowledge from a bona fide source through a bona fide process. Is it okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So we need to Gandharika Mataji. You have any question?
Mataji, somebody's going.
Nobody's going. You can go ahead.
Hare Krishna, HG Ramgiridhari Prabhu, HG Kamatki Mataji, Koti Koti Dandvat Pranam. It's very hard to explain 2 minutes your realization, but try my best, Prabhuji. You explained about the Valmiki Rishi's example, and the birds, and birds are like a painted on canvas. वो freeze हो गए थे. And Sri Sanatana Goswami in a Madhya Lila, Sri Rup Goswami and Jiv Goswami, you explained the birds are become a frozen. And you explained that cow divine giving milk. The Valmiki Rishi explained, Sri Valmiki Rishi explained about this, about personality of the all devotees living relations with Lord Shri Rama, feeding. And then you explain from Lord Chaitanya crying of Lord Rama from Shri Ramayana, and Dashrath ji is when Dashrath ji is so much upset, but Lord Rama when Lord Rama is going in a forest, but Lord Rama is so happy to get the instruction of that instruction from his mother Caitanya ji, and then we have to cry for Lord Krishna like a small baby. Prabhuji, we hear lots of time from so many years, but still that tears is not coming. That much Daffodest devotee like me, Prabhuji. Then you explain, then you sing so nicely, Parama Karuna Bahudina Jana Pasu Pasu ji Nitai Gaura Chanda पशुपति जी ये पाषण तारे सुनिए गुण गाथा अब संसार माजिया एपाते अपना करम उज्य कहे लोचन दास. It's take long time if I sing, Prabhuji. The mood is very nicely explained about the birds and bees. You explain they all are crying when Lord Rama is going in the forest with Srimati Sri Sita Rani and Lord Lakshmana, and Lord departed. That time Agnihotri, those type of Brahmana perform a yagna. Then you explained about the Srinivas Acharya heard about the learn of the associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the world when the Sri Gadadhar Pandit asks forgiveness due to the from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We can hear from Shri Bhagavatam that Leelas. Then your third reflection is Gopish and Shridham Vrindavan Dham explain of Gopis, and Shridham Vrindavan Dham explain of Gopis crying for separation of Lord Krishna, and His Grace, His HH Sataswarup Maharaj explained that that burns our ego and cry for Krishna for and chant to have and holy name of. So here HH Sataswarup Maharaj explained that we have to when we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra attentively with the association of Vaishnava, they crush our little ego or maybe more ego, and we can focus in our japa more attentively. And then you explained about the nature confidently parts. Shridham, please forgive me. Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur explained very, very special materialist attachment, such a behavior. Sukhdev Goswami also carefully explained about the Parikshit Maharaj example, and Srimati Shri Radharani needed for taking for Radharani ka प्यार राधा रानी का लव पाने के लिए we have to be surrender Srimati Shri Radha Rani by the prayers of Lord Krishna and the Bhakti Yoga, and you explain about the Bhakti Yoga and saying that we are happy in a transcendental moment, happiness transcendental moment, unless learn to cry for feeling separation of our Gurudeva, our Seva, Naam, Dham, Vigraha, Seva, Prachar, still separation of devotional life, real emotions, ourselves, to cross our ego in ourselves. Speaking about the Srimati Shri Radharani, offending main reason is Srimati Shri Radharani explained about from Shri explain about, I forgot to write down Prabhuji one sentence. Srimati Shri Ramayana, Lord Ramayana, Jatayu, you are given exam of Jatayu's job. Eventually you give him a promise, learn to cry from Krishna, to attach in feeling of separation. Then you explain about the Vaishnava is so unique, and you are given example of Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada saying about Jaipataka Maharaj has one time before recently he has a eyes operation, and same date so much pain, but Maharaj said I will today I will take the class. So this is the determination of our Jaipataka Maharaj and all the GBC Maharaj, and Jaipataka Maharaj is when he is in a Bhaktivedanta hospital, Prabhuji, Maharaj is not able to speak, and so much swelling in the legs. Still Maharaj is preaching. Nobody will understand, but still Maharaj is preaching. The assistant will translate us. So this is the mood of to serve Srila Prabhupada of Jaipataka Maharaj. Then you explain about the Uttamatikari, Madhyadhikari, and the material sciences, the mood of the separation of Lord, connected with the Lord, and the discussion about regular class. Or some matter we cannot. You explain that some matter we cannot explain in the material world forum, but with special Vaishnava you can explain that Leelas, and explain about the Krishna conscious right mood, and we get the benefit of our we get the benediction of our Acharya Gan, and you explain about the one should be those Vaishnava. We have to see the Vaishnava that not by that position or Vaishnava, we should not misunderstanding very gravatic dealing with subject have and forum of I forgot to write down properly some so many dear topic of discussion of wonderful devotee. A last reflection about nature of Vaishnava, body of Supreme Lord, explaining Shridam Vrindavan Dham by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur in Shri Bhagavat in Shri Chaitanya in Shri Chaitanya Chaitanya Bhagavat, please forgive me, and departure of the our Acharya Gan, you explain, and the last you explain about the 24 and 7 has body, name, fame, things they use by Vaishnava only worship Lord Krishna and Srimati Shri Radharani lotus feet, and then you explain about the Lord express the expression, the Tukaram Maharaj, the mood to show Shri Vithala and Srimati Shri Rukmani Maharani. Dribanga you sing so nicely, and Indriya, that Dribanga I cannot sing as you explained to us. I am always thinking about Vithala in my dream. He says, I will every moment my life may bhav tuja nirala nihama tuja. I want to make to my practice Vaishnava constantly. Vaishnava had constantly associated with the other Vaishnava, get the mercy of by the mercy of Lord Krishna and Srimati Shri Radharani, Lord and teacher and Lord Krishna and Srimati Shri Radharani teach us how we have to worship Lord Krishna and Srimati Shri Radharani when we stay in the association of senior Vaishnava. By that mercy only we can chant our round attentively. Ananta Koti Dhanvat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. No words to your sincere seva. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All glories to you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for such a nice class and very beautiful singing. Just wanted to say one thing is when you said this movement is Keval Ananda Kanda, but still we cry out helplessly for Krishna. That was very, very beautiful, very, very beautiful and so relevant. I think that was my takeaway for today. Thank you so much for such a fantastic class. And
yes, Prabhupada has also sung this song, and he had sung that Saba Avatare Avatari Rama Varaha Nishinha Kurma Saba Avatare Avatari. It's so nice to hear Prabhupada singing and so access, just goosebumps get them. So very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very, very nice class. Well, very nice lecture. Thank you, Prabhuji. By your
All good, Shri Prabhupada. So maybe we can end the session if there are no more questions.
Okay, we can end the call now. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namo. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय, श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री रामगिरिधारी प्रभु जी की जय। वेरी मच प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा।
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very beautiful class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.